If you're studying for the INBDE, I highly recommend INBDE Bootcamp, an all-in-one study resource that will help you pass your exam. Use coupon code MENTALDENTAL for 10% off. Hey everyone, Dr. Ryan here, and welcome back to Mental Dental. One of the most common questions that dental students ask is whether they should specialize. Is it worth it? Will it make me happier? Will it make me more successful in the long run? Well, the truth is that specializing in dentistry has some great advantages, but it also comes with some trade-offs that people don't always talk about. So in this video, I want to go through some of the pros and cons of specializing in dentistry so you can decide if it's the right move for you and your career. One of the biggest advantages of specializing is that you get to spend your career doing what you actually love. If you're someone who finds root canal treatments fascinating, well, endodontics may be incredibly fulfilling for you. If you love taking teeth out and doing complex surgeries, oral and maxillofacial surgery might be the perfect fit. If you enjoy tooth movement, facial growth, and smile design, orthodontics can be very rewarding for you. When you specialize in something you genuinely enjoy, going to work can feel exciting rather than repetitive or boring. But there is a flip side to this. Specializing significantly narrows your scope. So when you become a specialist, that becomes your daily bread and butter. You're doing that same category of procedures over and over again. If you later realize that you don't enjoy it as much as you thought, it can be difficult to pivot. For example, I'm an orthodontist. I move teeth every single day, and I do enjoy it. But sometimes I do miss other parts of dentistry like cosmetic bonding or restorative work. As a general dentist, you get to do a wide variety of procedures. As a specialist, you become extremely good at one thing, but you have to give up some of that variety in the process. Another major consideration is cost. Most specialty programs require additional years of training, which means more tuition, more student loans, and more time before you start earning a full income. Even if your residency has a stipend, you're still dealing with the opportunity cost of those years, meaning while your classmates may be already practicing and earning money, you're still in training. So financially, specializing can delay your earning potential for several years. Here's something that might sound obvious, but a lot of people don't realize. When you become a specialist, get ready to receive the most difficult cases out there. Think about it from the perspective of a general dentist. So if they encounter a case that is extremely complex or very risky or just plain difficult, or even the patient themselves is uncooperative or non-compliant, they might refer that case to a specialist. So specialists often become the receiving end of those complicated treatments and challenging patients. And I'm not saying that general dentists can't handle difficult cases with the right experience and skill. Of course they can. That said, this is what typically happens out in the real world. For example, if a general dentist doesn't want to perform a difficult extraction, they may get the referral pad out and send them to an oral surgeon. But hypothetically speaking, who would that oral surgeon refer the case to if they didn't want to do it? Another oral surgeon? That's unlikely because that can reflect poorly on your reputation as a specialist, because if you decline every case referred to you, the referrals will slow down or stop completely. And there is a time to decline patients. I just talked about in my last video about dismissing patients, but it is a delicate balance. The same applies to other specialties. If I, as an orthodontist, start referring cases that I don't want to do to another orthodontist, that doesn't reflect well on me at all. So specialists often have to handle the tough cases themselves. That's just part of the job. Another reality is expectation management. When patients go to a specialist, they often believe they are receiving the highest level of expertise, and they are, but that can also lead to very high expectations. In orthodontics, many patients are not just looking for a functional bite, they want a beautiful, perfect smile. And some patients may come in expecting a Hollywood-level transformation. But the reality is that dentistry often has limitations, things like skeletal structure, tooth shape and tooth size, smile display, gingival architecture. All of these factors can limit what even the best specialist can realistically achieve. So one strategy that I use in my practice is to underpromise and overdeliver. For example, if I believe a treatment might take around 12 months to complete, I might tell the patient 12 to 18 months. Then when we finish earlier than expected, they feel excited with the result, as opposed to them feeling like the treatment is dragging on and feeling burnt out and disappointed. Managing expectations up front is especially important in any specialty. Another factor that many specialists don't think about early on is referrals. Most specialists rely heavily on general dentists and providers from other specialties sending them patients. That means building relationships becomes very important. You'll need to meet with other dentists, go to lunches, attend study clubs, participate in professional groups and conferences. All of this networking helps to build trust and maintain those referral relationships. But if you're someone who's very introverted, this aspect of practice can feel challenging because it requires ongoing relationship building and a lot of energy expended on maintaining those relationships. And I would make the argument that that's a much bigger deal for a specialist. Finally, one thing to understand is that competition exists whether you specialize or not. Some areas may have many general dentists. Other locations may have a high number of specialists. So specialization doesn't automatically guarantee an easier or more successful career. Your success will still depend on things like your clinical skill, your patient communication, practice management, the location you choose and how saturated it is, and your reputation within the community. So my final thoughts: is specializing in dentistry worth it? Well, the answer really depends on your personality, your interests, and your long-term goals. If you love, and I mean love, a specific area of dentistry and want to become an expert in that field, specializing will be extremely rewarding. But it also comes with trade-offs: more training, more financial cost, referral dependence, and more difficult cases. So the key is to make sure you're choosing a specialty because you genuinely enjoy the work, not just because of prestige, income, or external expectations. If you love what you do, specializing can be an amazing career path. But if you're not sure, remember, general dentistry is already an incredibly diverse and rewarding profession. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, I would love if you could like this video. That always helps with the algorithm. Subscribe to Mental Dental if you haven't already, and leave a comment below. If you're thinking about specializing, maybe you're already a specialist. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Did I leave out any pros or cons? I would love to know in the comments down below. Also, don't forget, if you're studying for your board exam, either the INBDE or the ADAT, join my Mental Dental Academy. That is my online platform where I prepare you with live classes, practice questions, all of that good stuff. I'm so happy that we've had so many success stories coming out of the Academy. So if you're not a part of it or you don't know what it is, please click the link in the description below so you can check that out. God bless all of you, and I'll see you all in the next video.